Specialist Practice Exam Series. First question is going to be, how are relationships depicted in Tableau and at which layer do they function? Is it going to be the noodles type of relationship and function at the physical layer, noodles and logical layer, Venn diagrams and logical layer, or Venn diagrams and physical layer? So to answer this, first thing we can do is reference the Tableau documentation, which I have open over here. This talks about the Tableau data model. I'll be sure to link it down in the description below, but you do have a few different ways to form some kind of associations between different tables, essentially. So the first method, or really the first layer, is called the logical layer, right? This is the overarching layer, the default view that you'll see in your data source tab within Tableau. And in this you have relationships. You don't have actual joins, but you have somewhat of a more dynamic approach to making associations called relationships, and they're denoted by these lines. So you see these lines. One, it could be kind of like a noodle shape. It could be a straight line depending on the structure here. But that's how you would identify a relationship. And again, those can only occur in the logical layer. So when you go a level deeper into the logical layer, you expose the physical layer. This is where your actual physical joins can occur between tables or unions. And then those are denoted by Venn diagrams, and depending on whether it's the left, inner, right, or outer join, you'll see the circles of the Venn diagram colored accordingly. So the question here is asking, how are relationships depicted in Tableau? Is it going to be noodles, or is it going to be Venn diagrams? So based on the documentation that we just referred to here, when you're talking about noodles, something like this, those are relationships, and I'll show you an example in just a bit. But the second part of this question is, at which layer do they function? So now that we've identified the relationships are depicted by noodles, we only have two options here, right? It can't be C or D over here. So do relationships operate at the physical layer or the logical layer? Again, it's going to be the logical layer. You cannot have relationships in a physical layer, and you cannot have joins in a logical layer. That's just the way it is. So the only correct solution here is going to be the second option. But let's go into Tableau and demonstrate this. So let's say I have a blank canvas here. Let me connect to the sample Superstore dataset. And now that it's connected, I can go to the data source tab, and we can take a look at what's going on under the hood. So again, this is the default view that I was talking about in the data source tab. So we have three tables in our actual data source, as you could see, but the way they're associated here is through relationships. How do I know that? One, again, you see these lines, but two, you can kind of mouse over them, and it says relationship, orders to people, relationship, orders to return. So these are actually relationships, and we're looking at the logical layer. Now, if I wanted to actually join this, right, because right now, let's say orders is associated with returns as a relationship. If I click on this, I can actually see what's allowing these to associate. It's using the order ID just as you would in a table. So let's actually remove returns here now that I know that the order ID is connecting them. If I remove this, now I just have one relationship between orders and people. Now let's say I still want to bring in returns over here, but I want to do it via a join, not a relationship. So I can actually double click or open the orders table here, essentially. And if I mouse over it, it'll even tell you still that you're looking at the logical table. Double click this logical table to see the physical table. So if I double click, now I'm in what's called the physical layer. This is where you can actually have the join. So now I can bring returns here again, and notice you're not going to see a line. In fact, you're now going to see this Venn diagram, because now we're talking about a join. And as you could see, Tableau is smart enough to identify that the order ID is the proper key to use. But again, you're able to use inner join, left join, right join, outer join. So just wanted to show you that. So as of now, if you hover over this info icon, it says two physical tables define the logical table orders, right? So again, we're in the physical layer now. We're working with actual joins. If I exit out of here, you'll notice over here it actually shows you that we're looking at the orders logical table, but within that we now have two physical tables, the orders and the returns, because we just joined to the return. So just wanted to share that with you as well. But B here is going to be the correct solution. By the way, if you do enjoy videos like this, consider liking the video and subscribing for more content just like this. Next question, what occurs in a bar chart when grouping by labels in a view? Do the selected members have the same color while the rest have different colors? Is grouping by labels not allowed? Does the view remain unchanged but a group is created in the dimensions shelf, or a new bar is generated consolidating all members within a group? So what is this talking about? Again, let's go into Tableau. Let's make a quick bar chart so we could easily show this. And I want a number of different members. So I will select subcategory and we could do something like sales. And I would like this to be a bar chart, maybe rotated so it's vertical. So what is it asking? So what's going to occur in this bar chart when we group by labels in a view? What does grouping mean in general? So when you see paperclip icon, or even over here like manufacturer in this data set, this is talking about a group, right? If I try to edit this, it's going to say edit group because that's talking about a group. And there are a number of different ways to group data, right? One of the things we can do is I can click on this bar, which is accessories, hold down control and look at appliances and art. So maybe the first three bars I want to, group together. I can right click on the mark, okay? Keyword mark. Look, we're talking about, and sorry, not right click, but just once you click all three of these, you're going to see this pop up come up itself, and it's going to have a number of different options. But when you see this paperclip icon, it says group members, right? And I can group these members, and what that's going to do is all it did was it colored these differently from the rest, or really it kind of colored the rest in such a way that they're no longer highlighted, in a sense, if that's the right term to use here. But that's basically how you would group using labels. So it did create a group in the data pane over here, but in the bar chart itself, all it did was color differently. It didn't necessarily consolidate these. But what we did here was we grouped using marks, right? This is a mark. This is mark number 1, mark 2, mark 3. There's a total of 17 marks in this entire view. But that's not what the question is asking. So be sure to really pay attention to the keywords. When grouping by labels, what does that mean? Labels is down here, right? So if I right click, notice how it says rotate label. We're talking about labels. So if I did the same thing here, if I click accessories, the label of accessories, hold down control and hit appliances and then art, and then group, which is over here, notice what's going to happen. So it did again create a group in the data pane. But over here, two things, right? Two things different from what we just did in the last example. So it didn't color anything differently. All it really did was consolidate those three members into a group. So now I have accessories, appliances, and art combined. So what did that do essentially? Did the selected members have the selected members will have the same color while the rest will have different colors? No. That only happens when you group by marks, not by labels. So that's not the correct solution. Option 2 says grouping by labels is not allowed. No, we clearly just did that. The third option is the view remains unchanged, but a group is created in the dimensions shelf. This is partially true. We did see the group created in the dimensions. Let's see, in the dimensions shelf. Yes, we did. The view remains unchanged. Well, the view isn't unchanged because it did change. We had 3 bars broken out essentially that are now consolidated into one as a result of this group. And again, that's because now now it's the dimension shelf is representing the group, not necessarily the subcategory dimension. So that makes sense. But that can't be the solution because, again, the view did change. The last option says a new bar is generated, consolidating all members within the group. And that's exactly what happened. So that's going to be the solution here, that last option. Next question. In a box plot, what does the box represent? Is it the minimum value of the data, the median of the middle half of the data points, the mean value of the data, or the interquartile range? So for this, once again, actually we can refer to the Tableau documentation for this. And this is not even the Tableau documentation, actually. This is not really a a question that's limited to Tableau. It's more sort of do with box plots, which you can have in a variety of different of tools. But essentially, this is a representation of what a box plot is and what each of those essentially those points represent. So, at the starting point of a box plot, you have what's known as the minimum value, and then in contrast, you have at the very top the maximum value. And then this is the actual box itself, right? This is the box that it's talking about. The question's asking, in a box plot, what does the box represent? So what does this box represent? Now, it's important to know how this box is formed because it doesn't always have to be in the middle. It could be skewed a little bit to the right or to the left. It could be large. It could be small. And what's going to dictate that is basically the lower quartile and the upper quartile. So really the first quartile here and the third quartile. What that means is this line here represents that this is the 25th percentile. And in contrast, this represents that you're talking about the 75th percentile. So you have the 25th percentile and you have the 75th percentile. What does that mean? That means in between is the population of all your data that sits between the 75th and 25th percentile, right? And that's also known as the interquartile range. So the box itself represents the interquartile range, which is again the population between the 25th and 75th percentile in a data set. So going back to the question here, are we talking about the minimum value? No. Are we talking about the median of the middle half of the data points? No. Are we talking about the mean? No. What we're talking about is the interquartile range. Next question. Which of the following can be used to create a join in Tableau? And you can select multiple correct options here. So we just kind of went over this, but you can either right-click a logical table, open the join union canvas in the physical layer. Do you double-click a logical table to open the join union canvas in the physical layer? Do you right-click a physical table, open the join union canvas in the logical layer? Or do you double-click a physical table to open the join union canvas in the logical layer? So first things first, again, this is referencing the data source tab over here. And again, the objective is to create a join. So do I right-click a logical table and open the join union canvas in the physical layer? So what this is saying is, do I kind of go into the physical layer and that's where I make the join? And to get to the physical layer, do I have to right-click the logical table? I know that can be a bit of a word salad, but what it's saying is, so over here, we're looking at the logical layer. Can I right-click on people and go or right-click on order, it doesn't really matter, and then open the join or union canvas and then perform a join, which I did, yes. So that's absolutely one of the correct solutions. Again, you can select multiple correct options here. So right-clicking is one option. Second option, can you double-click that logical table? So if I go back here, can I just double-click? Yes, that takes me to the same place. So basically, you're going to be at the logical table. You're going to have to get from the logical layer to the physical layer, and that's where you perform the join. So A and B look to be the correct solutions, but let's just keep going. Do you right-click a physical table to expose that logical layer and then perform the join? So if I click on people, for example, this is a physical table, right? My physical layer. Do I right-click this and then open? There's no such option. Do I maybe double-click this to get to the logical layer? No, because it's going to make me rename this. Because again, the physical layer is the deepest level of association. So the only correct solutions here are going to be A and B. Quick pause. If you like these videos but you're serious about acing the Tableau Desktop Specialist Practice Exam or Certification, I've got news for you. Check out the link in the description if you're interested in practicing with an even more realistic set of practice exam questions. There are at least 5 different practice exams, 45 questions each, with the proper distribution of exam topic areas. You'll know exactly which questions you got right or wrong and what the correct solutions were. Now, there are a limited number of spots available, so be sure to take advantage of the limited time offer because, as you know, practice makes perfect. And that's a wrap. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you found the video helpful. Be sure to share this with someone who you think might find it helpful. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, as always, I will catch you on the next one. Thank you for watching.